Third Course in Miracles, Lesson 160. I am at home. Fear is the stranger here. Fear is a stranger to the ways of love. Identify with fear, and you will be a stranger to yourself. And thus you are unknown to you. What is yourself remains an alien to the part of you which thinks that it is real, but different from yourself. Who could be sane in such a circumstance? Who but a madman could believe he is what he is not, and judge against himself? The soul stands at the threshold of a house it forgot it built. It walks the halls like a stranger, because it let fear decorate the rooms and rename the doors. Fear is not a guest. It is an intruder who came uninvited, dragging darkness behind it like luggage filled with lies. To identify with fear is to hand over the keys to something that was never real and ask it to define reality. And now the true self waits outside, unrecognized, while the frightened mind peers through cracked windows and calls itself prisoner. The part that thinks it lives inside does not remember who built the house or why. Love laid the foundation, but fear painted over the walls with forgetfulness. Who could call this sanity when every room echoes with doubt and each step is followed by the sound of accusation? He judges not the world, but his own reflection in the dusty mirror, condemning himself and calling it justice. This is the madness of the split mind, confusing home with exile and stranger with host. There is a stranger in our midst who comes from an idea so foreign to the truth he speaks a different language, looks upon a world truth does not know, and understands what truth regards as senseless. Stranger yet, he does not recognize to whom he comes, and yet maintains his home belongs to him while he is alien now who is at home. And yet, how easy it would be to say, "This is my home. Here I belong, and will not leave because a madman says I must." There is a stranger in our midst who does not recognize the home he has entered. He comes from a foreign land made of fear, illusion, and attack, and carries the customs of a world that truth does not acknowledge. He speaks a language made of guilt, defense, judgment, and time, a tongue where every sentence ends in separation. He looks upon shadows and calls them real, not knowing that the light has always been behind him. To truth, his world is senseless, not because it is evil, but because it simply has no meaning. Truth sees no cause in suffering, no order in chaos, and no substance in the images fear makes. The stranger walks through love's house like a critic in a museum, misunderstanding every masterpiece. And still, in his arrogance, he claims ownership, saying, "This is my home," while never recognizing the host. He does not see the Christ within, nor hear the voice that welcomes him to peace, because he believes the echo of his own fear is the only sound. But how easy it would be to say, "This is not the stranger's house. It is mine, and I will no longer be a guest in my own mind." What reason is there for not saying this? What could the reason be except that you had asked this stranger in to take your place and let you be a stranger to yourself? No one would let himself be dispossessed so needlessly unless he thought there were another home more suited to his tastes. What possible reason could there be not to reclaim your home unless you truly believed you were not its rightful owner? Why else would you step aside and let a stranger sit at your table, wear your name, and speak for your mind? You invited in a voice that does not love you and let it narrate your life like a thief reading your diary aloud. And then, forgetting your authorship, you believed the voice was you. No one would surrender his inheritance for ashes unless he had been taught that the fire was sacred. You let yourself be dispossessed, willingly, though unconsciously, trading eternal peace for a temporary fantasy. Dispossessed not by force, but by the quiet persuasion of a lie that said, "There's something better than truth." You imagine there was another home, more exciting, more dramatic, more suited to your ego's taste for conflict and form. And so you walked out of heaven's stillness and wandered through illusions, building dollhouses on sinking sand. But the deed was never transferred, mighty companion. The home still waits, untouched, unburned, undivided. Who is the stranger? Is it fear, or you who are unsuited to the home which God provided for his Son? Is fear his own, created in his likeness? Is it fear that love completes and is completed by? There is no home can shelter love and fear. They cannot coexist. If you are real, then fear must be illusion. And if fear is real, then you do not exist at all. Who is the stranger in this house? The one built by love, extended from eternity, anchored in God's peace. Is it fear, or is it the one who invited fear in and forgot he was the Son of the living God? Could fear be God's own creation, made in his image, held in his mind, sustained by his light? Is fear what love completes and is completed by? Or is fear the scream that rises only when love is absent? No home can shelter both love and fear, for they are oil and water, light and shadow, truth and illusion. They do not mingle, they do not blend, and they do not coexist. If you are real, and you are, then fear must be nothing but a shadow passing over a sun that never sets. And if fear is real, then you are not, and all that God created must be dust. You cannot straddle the threshold with one foot in truth and the other in illusion, hoping for both peace and panic. This is your home or it is not. What lives here is what you are willing to welcome. How simply then the question is resolved. Who fears has but denied himself and said, I am the stranger here. And so, I leave my home to one more like me than myself, and give him all I thought belonged to me. Now is he exiled of necessity, not knowing who he is, uncertain of all things but this, that he is not himself, and that his home has been denied to him. How simple the answer becomes when the question is no longer buried beneath fear. To fear is to say silently, I am not welcome in my own inheritance. It is to abandon the keys on the front porch and walk away, pretending someone else belongs more than you. It is to believe that a shadow should live in your place while the light stands outside waiting to be remembered. And so you exile yourself, not by force, but by misidentification. You forget who you are and then wonder why nothing feels like home. You become uncertain of everything except the strange conviction that you are not yourself. You doubt your name, your origin, your purpose, but never the lie that says you've been denied. Yet it was not God who shut the door. It was your own belief in unworthiness that moved you to leave what was never taken away. What does he search for now? What can he find? A stranger to himself can find no home wherever he may look, for he has made return impossible. His way is lost except a miracle will search him out and show him that he is no stranger now. The miracle will come, for in his home his self remains. It asked no stranger in and took no alien thought to be itself. And it will call its own unto itself in recognition of what is its own. What does a stranger to himself look for when he has forgotten what he's missing? What can he find in exile when every street sign points away from what he truly is? Wherever he searches, he finds unfamiliarity, for he has declared that return is impossible. He does not know he is lost, only that he feels displaced, unrooted and far from peace. But a miracle will come, not because he earns it, but because his self never left home. The miracle searches him out like a voice in a foreign land, speaking the language of his soul. And he turns at the sound, startled by the recognition that something inside still knows the way. His true self never asked fear to come in. never invited confusion to define it, and never became something it was not. And that self will call out, not in words but in light, until every part of the mind remembers what belongs to it. And in that recognition, the stranger fades, for only the familiar can remain in what is wholly real. Who is the stranger? Is he not the one yourself calls not? You are unable now to recognize this stranger in your midst, for you have given him your rightful place. Yet is yourself as certain of its own as God is of his Son. He cannot be confused about creation. He is sure of what belongs to him. No stranger can be interposed between his knowledge and his Son's reality. He does not know of strangers. He is certain of his Son. Who is the stranger, if not the one yourself never called and never needed? You cannot even recognize him now, because you gave him your seat at the table and called him king. But your true self has never been confused. It knows what is its own as clearly as God knows his Son. God is not uncertain about what he created, nor does he wonder who sits within his heart. No foreign voice can interrupt the song he sings of you. No stranger can be interposed between knowledge and what knowledge knows. There is no veil thick enough, no lie loud enough to wedge itself between God and his beloved. He knows nothing of strangers because he never created one. He is certain of his Son, and his certainty is the bridge on which you return. God's certainty suffices. Whom he knows to be his Son belongs where he has set his Son forever. He has answered you who ask, who is the stranger? Hear his voice assure you, quietly and sure, that you are not a stranger to your Father, nor is your Creator stranger made to you. Whom God has joined remain forever one, at home in him, no stranger to himself. God's certainty is the final word, the last bell, the still voice that needs no argument. Who he knows to be his Son cannot wander, cannot be lost, and cannot be anything but where God placed him forever. You asked, who is this stranger? But the voice of truth answers gently, not you. Hear that voice now, steady and quiet, yet mighty enough to undo 1,000 years of forgetting. You are not a stranger to your Father, for he created no one he does not recognize. And he is not a stranger to you, though you may have looked away and called it distance. What God has joined remains joined, not by chains but by light, by love, by perfect knowing. You remain forever one, at home in him, untouched by the storm of illusions you once believed were real. You are not a stranger to yourself, for what God created remains forever whole. And in that wholeness you return, not as a visitor, but as the beloved child reclaiming the only home there ever was. Today we offer thanks that Christ has come to search the world for what belongs to him. His vision sees no strangers, but beholds his own, and joyously unites with them. They see him as a stranger, for they do not recognize themselves. Yet as they give him welcome, they remember, and he leads them gently home again, where they belong. Today we offer thanks, not just for memory returning, but for Christ himself coming to reclaim his own. He searches not with urgency, but with certainty, for what belongs to him has never truly been lost. His vision does not perceive strangers, for it sees through the veil and beholds only the beloved. To him, there are no outsiders, no impostors, no forgotten ones, only brothers waiting to be remembered. And when he finds them, he does not accuse them of wandering, but joins them in joy. They look upon him as a stranger still, for they have forgotten themselves and wear unfamiliar names. But as they open the door to him, something ancient stirs, a memory, a presence, a home they never truly left. In welcoming him, they welcome themselves. And he, with unspeakable gentleness, takes their hand and walks them home. Not to a place, but to an awareness, a truth so familiar it melts every defense and ends every search. Not one does Christ forget. Not one he fails to give you to remember, that your home may be complete and perfect as it was established. He has not forgotten you. But you will not remember him until you look on all as he does. Who denies his brother is denying him, and thus refusing to accept the gift of sight by which his self is clearly recognized, his home remembered, and salvation come. No one does Christ forget. No wanderer, no sleeper, no mistaken identity escapes the eyes of love that see only what God created. Not one brother is withheld from you in memory, for Christ gives each one back to complete your home. Your home cannot be perfect if one room is locked, if one face is turned away, or one voice is silenced. He has not forgotten you, and he will not allow you to forget yourself, unless you insist on forgetting your brother. To look upon all he does is to behold every gesture of forgiveness, every healing glance, every quiet act of mercy. But when you deny your brother, by judgment, by exclusion, by subtle fear masked as pride, you deny Christ. You refuse to accept the gift of sight, and with it, the clear vision that would reveal yourself. You close your eyes to the reflection that shows you your true inheritance, your holy origin, your place at the table. And yet, salvation waits, not far, not later, but now, in the moment you see your brother as your own and remember, you are home. That's the full 10, mighty companion. House restored, table set, Christ at the door, no stranger in sight. Let's walk in.